A couple of weeks ago, Genshin Impact finally released the Miliastra Wonderland. This really cool idea. This game mode where players could come together and take part in fun little events, and honestly, while a few people had one or two concerns about it, the general response before release was pretty positive. People were genuinely excited. They wanted to see how Genshin would take this idea and make it shine, how they'd make this new mode feel special. But in proper and expected Genshin fashion, they somehow found a way to completely butcher the execution. I mean, since its release, there's been every kind of problem imaginable associated with the UGC. From the expected issues that come with something this big, like the excessive bugs or poor optimization, all the way to the insane but expected Hoyoverse problems that somehow always find their way into everything they make. We're talking things like the absolutely predatory monetization system built into the Miliastra Wonderland, or the complete lack of genuinely fun events that should have made this mode worth returning to. And ever since its launch, the entire community had been talking about it, and honestly, the simple existence of the Miliastra Wonderland has proven one very important thing: that the gacha community is not as divided as we thought, because this is one of those rare moments where the entire community has come together to express the exact same feeling: disappointments. And I'm sure by now we've all heard everything there is to say about this game mode and what makes it so atrocious. So in this video, I don't want to talk about the UGC itself. What I really want to focus on is the aftermath. What's been happening since the release of the Miliastra Wonderland? Enough time has passed, enough videos have been made, enough people have complained. There have been more than enough discussions surrounding this game mode. So the real question is, what is happening right now? What is Genshin Impact actually doing? What changes are being made? And what should we expect from the Miliastra Wonderland going forward? That's what I want to talk about in this video. So if you're interested in this kind of content, make sure to like the video and let me know what you think. Do you believe there's any chance at all that Hoyoverse will respond to everything that's been happening since the Wonderland's release? Do you think they are actually doing anything to address all the complaints, or do you think otherwise? Tell me all that and more in the comments below, and of course make sure to subscribe in case you're interested on any of my future videos. Before we get into it, this video is sponsored by U7Buy. Where you're looking for a cheap, safe, and trusted digital marketplace for all things gacha, U7Buy is the best choice. U7Buy offers unbeatable pricing for top-ups in your favorite gacha, up to 25% off, and still 10 to 15% cheaper than official platforms. And here's how easy it is to top up. Simply enter your account UID and server, and your top-up will be processed instantly. Join over 100 million satisfied customers worldwide and check out the 30,000 plus positive reviews on Testpilot. So the question is, do you want the best deals for your in-game top-ups? Then simply click the links in the description or pinned comments below to save even more. And here is where you can save extra. When you are checking out, simply enter my discount code TNP to save an extra 3% on already low prices. U7Buy, your gateway to the best gaming top-up deals, fast delivery, and unbeatable prices. So thank you U7Buy for sponsoring this video, and now let's get into it. Now, before we talk about the Miliastra Wonderland and what we're seeing Genshin do about it right now, let me take you guys all the way back, all the way to Genshin's first anniversary. And trust me, this is important to the conversation, so just bear with me. Now, we talked about Genshin Impact anniversaries and our disappointments with them numerous times on this channel. But in case you're new to Genshin, here's what happened. For their first ever anniversary, a supposed celebration of playing Genshin, supporting Genshin, and spending thousands of dollars on Genshin for an entire year, the folks at Hoyoverse, who supposedly don't really care about the money, decided to give us only 10 free polls. And apparently, the best way they decided to celebrate that milestone was to make the players, the same people who kept the game alive, work for them. Because alongside those insulting rewards, they gave us a web event where we had to literally advertise the game everywhere. It was insane. And naturally, people were furious. I mean, if you've been in the gacha space for even a moment, you must have heard about the Google Classroom situation, where Google Classroom, an app that had absolutely nothing to do with Hoyoverse, somehow got caught up in the chaos of Genshin's first anniversary. And that was just one of the many bizarre things that happened during that time. It was an absolute mess. But more importantly, if you were present during that time, I'm sure you remember the worst thing about Genshin Impact's anniversary. Because people tend to think that the worst part was the rewards or the chaos or the cancellations that happened afterwards, but no. The single worst thing about Genshin Impact's anniversary was Hoyoverse's response. And I don't mean the response that they eventually gave after God knows how long of chaos and backlash. No, I'm talking about their initial response, which was absolutely nothing. In the middle of all the chaos, the disappointments, the outrage, Genshin's response was complete and utter silence. Not a video, not a tweet, not a message, not even the slightest form of acknowledgement. And that was the moments that hit hardest, because everyone, and I mean everyone, from people who genuinely love Genshin Impact to those who didn't really care about it, all came together to complain, to voice their frustration. And yet, through all that noise, through all that anger, Genshin's initial response was nothing but silence. Silence that at the time felt endless. And right now, once again, we're experiencing that chaos, and more importantly, we're experiencing that silence. By the time this video goes live, it would have been 2 whole weeks since the release of the Miliastra Wonderland, and by extension, 2 whole weeks of constant complaints, 2 2 whole weeks of every kind of YouTuber, every manner of content creator, making video after video expressing their frustration with the UGC, and 2 whole weeks of silence from Hoyoverse. Silence that at this point is absolutely deafening. And what makes this funny is that we completely understand what this silence means. See, at the start of this video, I mentioned that there were people who were less than enthusiastic about the Miliastra Wonderland even before its release, even when it was still just an idea. And if you're an outsider looking in, that might seem strange, because the Miliastra Wonderland was, at its core, a really good idea. We all understand that gacha games, especially the bigger ones, suffer from the same major problems. Going weeks without any meaningful content is the exact problem that Wuthering Waves is struggling with right now. And the Miliastra Wonderland was supposed to be a solution to that, a mode where everyone could come together and simply have fun. So a really interesting question is, why did so many people feel underwhelmed by even this before it launched? Now, we could easily say it is because we all know the Genshin formula, where they come up with incredible ideas on paper but completely butcher the execution, and honestly, that is a fair answer. But I believe there's an even bigger reason why so many people never appreciated the Miliastra Wonderland from the very start. And the answer to that question is exactly what we're experiencing right now with the Miliastra Wonderland, this silence. Because neither the first anniversary nor now are the only times we've experienced this kind of silence from Hoyoverse. In fact, this silence has been a constant presence for the better part of 5 years of playing Genshin Impact. It is something every single player has experienced. We've seen this silence every time we made a complaint, from the seemingly small request at the start of the game, like asking for a simple skip button, one of those small complaints that everyone in the community believed would be addressed eventually, something so basic that people thought there was no point in even arguing about it, because surely Genshin would add it at some point. But here we are 5 years later and still nothing. And it doesn't stop there. There have been hundreds of complaints made over the years about the main character being too weak for the current story, about other characters not feeling worth the investment, about exploration going repetitive, and the need for new traversal mechanics to make the world actually fun to move through. Time and time again, complaints after complaints have all been met with the exact same thing that we're experiencing right now with the Miliastra Wonderland: silence. And from this silence comes something even worse. 2 things actually. The first is the disappointment and anger directed towards Genshin Impact. Just like during the first anniversary, just like that strange form of unity players had back then, unity that, while powerful, was deeply toxic. The gacha community has found that same unity once again with the Miliastra Wonderland, and we're seeing the results of it. The collective disappointment, the collective outrage, the flood of comments filled with frustration towards the game mode. In fact, the backlash became so overwhelming that the official Miliastra Wonderland Twitter account was temporarily suspended due to mass reporting from the community, and that is absolutely insane. And if that doesn't tell you where the community stands regarding the Miliastra Wonderland, then honestly I don't know what will. But more importantly, this silence tells us something even worse about the state of Genshin Impact and the state of the Miliastra Wonderland, which is that Genshin plans to do nothing. I mean, we've experienced this silence before, we've experienced it numerous times, and from that experience, we've also learned what usually follows. Because when it comes to Genshin Impact, silence has never been a good sign. From silence comes at best the bare minimum. There's never been a situation where something revolutionary, something truly game-changing, came from the long drawn-out silence that Genshin is known for. And I don't believe that is going to start today with the Miliastra Wonderland. So let me end this video with a prediction and a call to action. Eventually, Genshin will respond. They always do. But that response will almost certainly be the bare minimum. Maybe they will hand out a few new costumes or give us some materials to craft them. Or maybe it can be something else entirely. But the main thing is, when that time comes, my only ask is this: that the Genshin community doesn't do what it always does when Genshin gives the bare minimum, which is nothing. We have seen this happen time and time again, to the point where we can practically predict Genshin Impact's next move before it even happens. There should come a point where we say enough is enough, a point where we hold Genshin Impact accountable for the very things that they choose to create and release to the community. And I believe that that point starts right here with the Miliastra Wonderland. But what do you think about the entire situation? What do you think about the elongated silence? Do you believe that maybe the Miliastra Wonderland will be the exception, that Genshin will finally do something about it? Or do you believe they will do what they've always done to the community and to their players? Tell me all that and more in the comments below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.